Coming at you live from DNHQ in beautiful South Pasadena, California. This is the Blue Heaven Podcast. What is going on, Dodgers Nation? My name is Clint. You can find me as RealFRG on Twitter and Instagram. That gentleman right there is the one, the only, the delicious DMac_LA. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram. How you doing, my guy?
I'm doing great. I'm diving into all this offseason news. We got the news on Yasiel Puig.
That's the big one now.
899 bets, sports bets, betting on baseball. Why couldn't he be just betting on wild horses? I mean,
he is figuring if he can bet enough, he can be like Pete Rose, maybe get the, he wants to be the hit king. But we're going to talk a lot about it a little bit. I don't know. We're going to talk about the Puig stuff.
It's juicy. It's interesting.
Get all that kind of stuff out there. Like I said, Puig, or like we're going to call it, Puig is in trouble, it seems. We got a GM meetings recapped. Kershaw is back. JT is a free agent, so we got to get a little prediction fun on that. Cody Bellinger, they have a decision to make this week, so we got to talk Cody. We want to talk also about Blake Trinan and the bullpen and all that kind of stuff, plus general free agency talk. We might not get as deep into it this week, or at least today, maybe more later on in the show. But we do got to say, before we get into the show, we're on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those spots where there's podcasty things. If you want to just hear us, we live there. So do check that out and subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/DodgerNationTV. Hit the bell, leave a like, tell your grandma, leave a super chat. And Doug will read it in his underwear in the middle of the night. So let's get into some of the comments here, because I think the comments are already going a little wild.
Yeah, we got bring back Puig. People are in shambles. That's from Jaime over on YouTube. We got Dave Luna. Puig pleaded guilty to being an illegal gambling ring. What's up, guys? From Nick Sparrow. Adam, free my guy. So, yeah, lots of people are reacting to that Puig news. What's up, D-Mac from CGI27? What up, my man? Then we got Sam. It's not that Puig plays bets. It's that he did it illegally and lied about it. Yeah, look, one thing you have to know is you don't lie to the feds. You do not lie to the feds, and that's exactly what he did. And with Yasiel Puig, it always seems like it's something. He's that friend that he just seems like he has it together one minute and then something happens and it just starts to add up. And yeah, I think you can rule out him coming back with the Dodgers or even in Major League Baseball. Yeah. I mean, he was looking at 5 years in prison. I mean, he's already sentenced to 1 year in the KBO. So, I mean, he's been down bad for quite some time now. And you really hate to see this, especially after all those nice things that were said last week on social media. It felt like he was turning the corner. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts on Yasiel Puig?
It's tough for Yasiel. And we'll note that almost everything is by his own doing. He is at fault for this, but also it's part of a greater problem, part of a system that was designed to put him in this situation. When he came to the States, you're going to end up being around bad people and learn bad things. Initial thoughts, I mean, I'm just going to agree right off the bat. You're not going to see him in baseball again, because he was already essentially, blacklisted from the league as it was. But it's wild to see, but also at the same time, it's kind of like, that's just, it's Puig. That's what happens. It's like every time maybe the narrative starts to change on him a little bit, like, oh, he's learned something. He's trying to better himself. He's working on a new image. Something's ready to drop on him almost always. I mean, this is something that happened in 2019, it appears, per early reports. But the other shoe is always ready to drop when it comes to Puig. Get into more of the comments here. Guy says, how can it be illegal? Well, anytime you don't give the government money that you have earned or won, it's illegal. Government wants that money. Not Sam Miguel. I'm just going to avoid that comment, but I fully agree with you. I do not want to face litigation myself. Rob, very much changing the subject here. Any chance Tolles comes back? No. I think they're going to do what they do every year. They're probably going to keep him on the roster in some way, keep his rights, and keep him having access to some sort of medical coverage, and hopefully keep getting help. We haven't heard much about the Tolles situation for a while.
Yeah, that's definitely probably the case right now. There's really no path for him back to the big leagues. He hasn't been playing baseball for years. He's still dealing with mental health issues. It's nice that the Dodgers have done what they have in continuing to support him, allowing him to get treatment. But yeah, you will not see Toles back with the Dodgers next season. But probably a better chance is you're going to see Toles than Yasiel Puig at this point. I think that's probably safe to say. So yeah. It's definitely some dark times for those two guys. But I think Toles has made some strides in the right direction. It's just him continuing to get help. And I think that's the most important thing right now is he gets the treatment he needs.
By the way, guys, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let us know where you are representing Dodgers Nation tonight. For people who know me, they know this is going to be a struggle because the Eagle game is right there. So I'm going to do my best to give you 79% effort in this show, I promise. But let us know where you guys are watching tonight. Cities, zip codes, social security numbers. That's what we're looking for. Maybe not the last one. Note, again, I'm going to avoid anything about one particular agent just because it's not something I want to deal with. But yes, Puig is no longer represented by a former agent. Other stuff, you got any other comments right now? I guess we should really probably talk more about what the Puig situation is. I left the tweet open because there's a lot to it, but this is the headline on the tweet, on the release that came from the Department of Justice, so you know it's good. But former MLB player agrees to plead guilty in felony charge for lying to federal agents investigating illegal gambling operations. So he kind of took the snitches get stitches, I'm not going to talk approach. I don't really know. If anything, we probably really shouldn't talk about this because I don't want to get sued on anything. I just know what the things are saying. And he spent a lot of money. He lost a lot of money gambling, 2019 era, going through some stuff. Apparently lost almost $300,000 in gambling. Almost potentially over 900 bets. From what I read, I don't think there was anything baseball, but it was mostly sports betting. So it's
I mean, hopefully he didn't bet on the 2022 Dodgers to win the World Series.
It does not go well. Sports does not like people playing sports and gambling on sports.
They don't. I mean, maybe if you use DraftKings, the official partner of MLB,
no, we don't. They have to pay us to talk about that. Yeah.
No, but maybe Ben got his
27 did not pass.
I mean, you wanted to. I mean, he realizes that he had lost a lot of money. He owed a lot of his handlers money when he was defected. You almost wonder, was he betting to try to pay guys or something like that? Because, I mean, he's a guy that probably anticipated signing a big deal at some point in his career. I mean, he was looking like a multi-time all-star, a guy that was going to get a big chunk of change, and that was all taken away from him.
Yep.
And you're not going to get that big bag in the KBO. I think it's probably a combination of the itch. The guys they talk about it. You gotta, your betting friend. They just have to put money on everything. It'd be two cockroaches running down the street. They'll try to put money on it. I think it's a combination of that and hey, you probably want some extra cash.
I mean, I think a lot of it is, or I feel like it stemmed from just being around the wrong people, which it's pretty well known or known enough that the wrong people very much surrounded themselves with Puig, the guy who had money, who had the nice, $47 million contract it was coming over to the States, signing with the Dodgers. They had money. They like money. They wanted to use his money. And they get him in with the wrong people, this Knicks character who apparently is gambling. Yeah. And then you is a guy who's going to want family. He's going to want friends. He's going to want to be Puig, your friend. All my good homies, we like to gamble, hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time. You're in? And, one thing leads to another. We don't know. It's very much breaking news, but it's a situation where, as MLB insider and reporter Bob Nightingale said, chances are, like you've already opined as well, his MLB career likely, probably, potentially very over at this point.
It does say here he racked up $282,900 in losses. He cut two separate $100,000 checks. He bet on tennis, basketball, and football games. So it's not like he's Pete Rose betting on games that he had participated in. I think a lot of people are probably going to run with that, call him Puig Rose or something like that. But that definitely wasn't the case. He was betting on games in different sports that he wasn't involved in. So there's that. But it's just bad PR, bad looking. I think he's radioactive now to teams. I don't think there's going to be any teams out there, no matter what he does.
Yeah, he was already right there, maybe starting to get back to a point where somebody might offer him, minor league deal with an invite. He had a nice season in the KBO with the Heroes. He had a solid, really, really good postseason run with the Heroes, who just fell short of winning the championship. All of that means something to a major league team trying to win some ball games or find somebody that's a potential trade asset. And now this really, really detonates it. Getting into some of the comments here, people checking in. IB Strokin says, #Puig your friend. That was a good era. Guy is checking in from Santa Barbara. Good times. Great oldies. Nathan.
Shout out Yulo.
Shout out. Is Eric in the chat, by the way? Cody's on the keys today.
What's up, everybody? I just want to say big shout out to Noah Cameras. He's back there. And
He's
then
back.
Shout out to Lydia and Alex.
Oh, yeah.
You can't see them, but they're over there.
There's Alex's hand.
The live studio audience.
That's
here.
That's all going to sound great. That's all going to look great on the audio-only podcast. Look at Alex's hands, audio. Anthony checking in, Central California and Visalia. We got Curacao. Cool. Edward. Awesome. Chatsworth, 818. His Hot Speria, 760. Guy says, go Eagles. That's right. Let's go Birds. 310, our boy Craig Osterberg is in the chat. Guy also asking JT and Belly and Trey history. Let's get into some Dodgers news, because we might as well. GM meetings, these meetings went off for like our past experience in dealing with the general managers meetings in Major League Baseball, but people were interested in qualifying offers this year. Contract options. Obviously, the Dodgers had one big one to deal with Mr. Justin Turner. And the big news, Clayton Kershaw reportedly, because it's not official yet, reportedly agrees to a 1-year deal somewhere around the $20 million range. So let's just dive into the order in which we have them written down. Qualifying offers, Tyler Anderson, he was extended the qualifying offer, of course. That makes all the sense. Somebody, great year, first-time All-Star, and, I mean, he could potentially accept it, but more than likely somebody looking at a multi-year deal. Any thoughts on the Tyler Anderson stuff, or should we just kind of motor through this a little bit? Because we got more Tyler Anderson in the free agent later on, but I think we can see something. LA, Anderson, maybe within the next 2 weeks. 2-3 weeks, I think max. I would not be surprised to see them want to get something done before Christmas.
Yeah, I think when you see how it's all laid out, he's one of those moves that you can see happening early on, especially because you have the deadline for him to accept or decline that qualifying offer. And you know there will be some interest in him. You know there will be teams out there willing to give him a multi-year deal. Like I've said before, I think the sweet spot is a 3-year, $40 to $45 million contract. When you consider his age, when you consider the new grip on that changeup, he's going to be able to be effective for the next 2-3 seasons. I think he absolutely should reject the qualifying offer. I don't think it's a slam dunk or a slam dunk. He's an Oregon guy, but I don't think it's a slam dunk that a lot of people think it might be, that he's just going to completely reject it, because you consider the fact that he's made $17.6 million in his career.
Yeah.
Already surpassed that with that one contract. That's a nice chunk of change, but I do expect him to reject it, and I think the Dodgers are seriously consider signing him to a multi-year deal. Like you said, the Rich Hill contract, but they definitely need to fortify this rotation. He's a guy you can trust. He excelled in his role last season. Yeah. I'd love to have him back.
Yeah, even if he's somebody who comes out and throws a 4.5, 4.8 ERA or something like that, he's still going to do it, tossing 180, 200 innings, which is massive for a team like this when you're talking about a number 4, number 5 guy who, if he's not great, is not going to get time, maybe a bullpen role come postseason. But we got a lot of season to get through before then. By the way, Roach is tuning in from hell.
Yo.
So that's important. Alex asking, is it intern day today?
National and bring your intern to work day here at Dodgers Nation.
No, so I mean, we work here in the office. This isn't just for me and Doug to hang out, and we have 2 of our United Kingdom cohorts here in town because they like drinking and eating.
Silly nubbins.
Hey, now we're gonna get shadow banned by DMCA. Trey Turner, the other one, of course, extended the qualifying offer, which naturally was gonna happen.
Yeah. If Yasiel Puig wants a winning bet on the fact that he will not accept that qualifying offer. That's a lock. He's definitely going to reject it. But yeah, I mean, when you consider the fact that you mentioned earlier, Carlos Correa, they don't have to pay that qualifying offer. I think people out there need to realize that this means a lot to teams out there getting this QO and getting that draft pick compensation. It definitely plays a role, and that is how you build sustainable winning, is through drafting and developing. So it definitely is something the Dodgers are considering.
Yeah, I mean, I feel all of us, I mean, I don't listen to that much outside media because ain't nobody got time for that. I feel like a lot of folks have not given enough consideration to that qualifying offer and the fact that Dodgers do not want to or like to lose any draft picks. That really mitigates the market in some areas. I mean, yeah, there are some players you're going to go after. If you want them, you're going to go get them. But if not, you know, if there's a qualifying offer and they're kind of on the fringe and you're looking at like, oh yeah, I want this guy for next year, it's not going to happen. I think there are better options or there are other avenues. As I've said, trade is going to be the trade block is really what Andrew Friedman's going to be looking at. The last qualifying offer, well, I guess really there's another one. They did not extend a qualifying offer to Andrew Heaney, which of course they were not going to. That would be terrible to give him a qualifying offer. Fine year, not a good year, not a $20 million kind of year. But a $20 million kind of year is apparently what Mr. Clayton Kershaw earned, because he did not get a qualifying offer, but hours after that, he got a deal, according to Ken Rosenthal. We know Ken Rosenthal at times can get himself in trouble trying to be first on things. And yeah, I mean, everybody else has kind of confirmed it since then, but he was also first on Jock Peterson and Ross Stripling going to the Angels, and that didn't work out. But, I mean, good deal. It's big news. Walker Buehler was happy. Big boy back. Kershaw, you know, you got your number one, your number two guy, your 1B guy, the guy that this rotation desperately needs. So, as of now, it's Julio, it's Kersh, and the rest.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about the re-addition or the return of Kershaw and what it means for the starting rotation?
Like I always say, I'm not a hyper-religious guy, but I'm a devout Christian. I believe in the Church of Christianity, and I think just having him back on that $20 million deal, I don't think Dodger fans really realize how great of a deal that is. I mean, if Clayton Kershaw didn't have this same undying loyalty to this organization, if he was a Max Scherzer type, Clint, he'd go out there and get himself a 3-year deal, and he would be able to get that. Yeah. So I think that's so advantageous for this organization to have a guy that's still as effective as Clayton Kershaw, and granted, he's not going to give you over 200 innings or close to it. He hasn't thrown over 130 innings since back in 2019. But I think at this stage of his career, he knows what he is. And I mean that by more than just from a health perspective. I think from a pitch mix, you see he goes to that slider more than that fastball. It's about commanding the zone and hitting his spots. And he's still pristine when it comes to not walking guys. He's still missing bats. I think that his postseason outing he had wasn't great. He definitely was grinding against the Padres, found a way to get through 5, giving up 3 runs. And look, the reality is he wasn't great last season in the postseason in his one start, was not great in 2018 or 2019, but he was great in 2020. And why was that? Well, you had a shorter season, so you didn't have as much mileage on that back, on that arm. So I think that the Dodgers and Kershaw, they have a great partnership, and they know what it's going to take to get him to be effective in October. And that is, you're going to see that occasional IL stint during the year when he gets that cortisone shot. You are going to see him miss some time, but I still believe in his stuff. And I think that, look, you're going to have a retired jersey number 22. You are going to see him inducted as a first ballot Hall of Famer. We will be there one day when he has a statue, but we're not there yet. He has to make one more World Series run with the Dodgers, and I think that's his goal. I think he wants one more ring, and then he can start thinking about hanging him up.
Yeah, I just really can't ever imagine him being in Texas. I mean, sure, that's been on there. Sure, Texas has really wanted to pursue this guy because that's a massive get for a club like that that's trying to do something different and trying to, really make a name for themselves on the free agent market. But Los Angeles Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw are just one and the same. That's how it goes. That's how it belongs. The world is right when that is happening, and it's going to be, by all accounts, right again. Hopefully we get an official announcement sometime this week, but the team does have a few more, issues to tend to this week,
Yeah.
namely Cody Bellinger. We'll get into that in a second. Ralphie, I don't know if it's our first one, but he says hashtag fire Dave Roberts. Woo!
You can't do a show without a fire Dave Roberts. I don't care. He win 5 World Series in a row, you'd still see it. It wouldn't be. They would say they won in spite of him. But yeah, going back to your take on Clayton Kershaw too. When it comes to the Rangers and that whole experience, I think that it might be fun for a few starts. Oh, the hometown kid, the hometown legend. But then when they're in 4th place in the AL West and they're not sniffing the postseason, he'll realize he made the mistake to go to Texas. And I think that look, he's done everything. He's won everything. He's been there, won that. The only thing that's left for Clayton Kershaw is to win another World Series, to possibly make a run at a World Series MVP. And he knows there's really only a handful of organizations that go on to make World Series runs. And that's not happening anytime soon in Texas. And I think that, I just think it's a great deal. I just am so excited that you can get a top 15 to 20 pitcher on a 1-year contract for $20 million. It's a great deal for the Dodgers.
There's really, I mean, listen, he's made his big money deals. He had he had the massive 7-year deal, then they turned that into the 3-year extension after the fact. Clayton Kershaw has made his money. Now it's about comfort. Now it's about familiarity, and it's about winning. But it's also, beyond that, it's going to be about his family. And, I feel like, and we've talked about it before, like the kids are enjoying this. His kids are very much enjoying, the kids are barely growing up to that age where they can fully understand or start to understand, hey, this is cool. My dad's in a major league locker room. Everybody loves him most of the time, except for when it's October. It's like, it's a fun experience for him. Jose had a great one. Puig needed Danny Duffy's agent to keep the poor guy off the grid and out of trouble.
Ouch. Wow.
You guys remember Danny Duffy? What else we got? Jonas liked Andrew Heaney and Anthony Keene, our friend, saying proud member of the Church of 22. Another devout Christian.
It's great.
Hard. It's a hard one to say. Roach, I don't believe in Jesus Christ, but I believe in Clayton Kershaw.
On the 8th day, God made Kershaw.
Oh.
But we got Juice Narrows, non-tender, Cody. Now we'll talk about that in a second. We've got Roach. He doesn't have a perfect game. Cough. Thanks, Hanley. Cough. Ouch. That one burns every single time. Like I always say when it comes to that no-hitter, it was the perfect no-hitter. If you look at the game score, if you look at everything he achieved. But, he would have had one this year if it wasn't for Dave Roberts, right, Clint? But
Dave Roberts.
Look at this, Robert. $20 million for a 2-month DL stint. Oh, it's a DL. IL.
I was thinking that's a great opportunity. I should just start just yelling and disrupting the show loudly like Petros Papadakis.
Oh,
yeah. I gotta fire Dave Roberts. That's what I'm talking about. Doc.
yeah.
Beef. I wanted to talk one more thing on Kershaw because we haven't talked enough about Clayton Kershaw. Because you mentioned
you want all the smoke tonight, bro.
You mentioned the injury about the beef. You mentioned the injuries and him. Kershaw even talked about it this year, being healthy at the right time, and that's a critical part. He was not healthy at the right time in 21. Most of the other years, he's kind of been healthy at the right time, or at least held together by glue and hope. But him missing time during the year kind of is to the advantage of the Dodgers because, it keeps some of the mileage off the arm for that season, but it gives him an opportunity to see what a Ryan Pepio can do, what a Michael Grove, and then, into next year, Gavin Stone, Bobby Miller. You're going to see a lot of these dudes making differences, and I think we're definitely going to bring up a few more of those names coming up in a minute. But let's get through the rest of this stuff right here, the options. This is the other big area. Yeah, we already talked about Danny Duffy. They said bye-bye. I don't know how the hell they decided to go with a $7 million option for a dude that came over and never pitched for them, but it was a 1-year deal after the 20 season. Is that what it was? Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, after 21, it was 1-year deal.
There's no buyout
with the option. Yeah. Anyways, so they said no. That's a dumb one. Hanser Alberto, probably the one. I mean, it made sense. He was never going to get one, but that's probably the one that fans might be the most sad about because Dodger fans love their funny faces. People.
Yeah.
And he was a happy boy. He's a very happy boy, and I wish the best to Hanser. I doubt we see him again because if he's on the roster, that's taking away opportunities from a Miguel Vargas, from a Michael Busch, just from these guys, these kids that, like we talked about last week, the organization, the front office really wants to see what the next crop of talent can do, what the Bushes, what the Vargas types, what, Andy Pajes and what's his name? Ramos, Jose Ramos.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of intriguing bats down in the minor league levels that they need to see. They really need to give a chance. Jimmy Nelson, as I was kind of surprised they said no. I'm assuming so. They declined was it $1.1 million option?
Yep.
I'm assuming it's because maybe the recovery is not going all that great. I'm wondering if career's kind of donezo because he's somebody who's struggled with injuries for the better part of his career with the shoulder stuff and now the elbow and all that. So, but the biggest one, Justin Turner, the team, as we kind of expected, declines the $16 million option for 2023. What's your prediction on what happens next?
Look, I've kind of gone back and forth on this one, and
I fully agree with you on that one.
And
it's
look,
easy to.
I point out a couple different times that it's not about the years for the Dodgers. It's not about the money. It's about the years. And when you consider it a pretty nice work past due contract, $16 million, when you consider they basically, by not picking up that option, you have the $2 million buyout, they'd be saving $14 million on it. And the question I have is, if he does come back on a cheaper deal, right? And if he comes back on a cheaper deal, let's say a 2-year contract, $16 million, $20 million, something in that range, does that take away opportunities from some of these young Dodgers that we've been talking about?
Yeah.
Like I've been saying, you don't want to get the band back together or get the bland back together. And I think that that's what the Dodgers run the risk of this offseason. If you bring this familiar cast of characters back, it's the same chemistry, the same nucleus, and then you're having these young guys that you're turning them into utility guys, right? Instead of giving them a role.
Yeah.
I think you bring Justin Turner back, and maybe if he comes back in a Chase Utley type role, maybe even Albert Pujols type role, where he's fine with any role that they have as far as being a bench guy that can come up, hit for contact, and continue to mentor the young guys, I'd say, yeah, I'm open to it. But on the same time, Clint, Clint, we know how loyal Dave Roberts is to his guys.
Yes.
And Dave Roberts is going to see Justin Turner and say, oh, that's 2014 Justin Turner, right? He's not going to think it's 2023 JT, who's, definitely in the twilight of his career, to put it nicely. And look, the reality with JT is this, Clint. He can still be an above-average hitter. There's no question about it. If you look at his numbers last season, he had the 7th highest batting average after the All-Star break.
Fully proved out that he can still get it done at the plate at this age, and that's fine. But like I agree with where you're going with this. You're really, the team has been stuck doing the same thing for a while, where you keep getting the band back together, and sure, the band slowly, or the bland back together, the band slowly came apart with Kike walking, Jock walking, and all that. Seager, possibly Bellinger this offseason. But then we haven't seen the big time prospect come up and do anything for years because they haven't had that opportunity. There really has not been an opportunity to get up and get regular at bats. I mean, you could have seen more James Outman, but instead the front office opted to go, we're gonna get another veteran, and Joey Gallo. That didn't work. Even when Trace Thompson happened, you could have gone the other way and tried. I mean, they were very hamstrung or handcuffed by the lack of space on the 40-man roster last year. With this, we know we probably would have seen more, but you had some internal options. I think they did miss a prime opportunity to get some eyes on some of these kids last year, sooner, longer. And now, they really apparently want to go that way next year. But it feels like wasted opportunity in some points there. And, that's the next question, or that's going to be the question with Justin Turner. What do they do? Do they run it back with him again? Which, there's pros and there's cons. There's probably more pros than cons, but there's definitely cons. And at whatever the rate is, if the intent is to potentially get under that CBT number.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's something that is going to be a theme this entire offseason. They want to reset at some point. I think they want to put themselves in a great position to sign Shohei Ohtani, get under that $233 million CBT right there. But when it comes to Justin Turner, I think another thing to consider too is if you look at his numbers, like a 116 OPS plus, there's a lot of teams out there that would love to have that bat. And Justin Turner's a guy who's had a chip on his shoulder his entire career. And he's saying to himself, wait a second, there's going to be teams out there that want me, maybe even playoff contenders. Maybe the New York Mets that non-tendered me and let me go back in the day. Maybe I go back to New York and I have a role, and maybe I face the Dodgers. And also, if you're JT too, he's saying he wants to play deep into his 40s.
Yeah.
And what kind of role would he have?
Into his 40s, but
I just don't think that he's going to have the same opportunities with the Dodgers. But at the same token, I think they do value his leadership. I think they know that he can still provide an above-average bat. But if you look at his numbers against high-velocity pitching, against strength power pitchers across the board, every statistical category. It's very average, very mid, OPS, batting average, and we saw him in the postseason get overmatched by high velocity pitching.
That works. You can stash that away in the regular season, but when it gets to the postseason, the velos they tick up because you're facing the number 1, number 2 guys as often as other teams possibly can.
Let the kids play. He's like a college guy that goes to high school parties. You know what I mean? Like, let the kids play. Let them get experience. Let's see what we have with the next era of Dodger baseball.
A little too laughy back there, Alex. A little too laughy. He's that guy. Lost my train of thought because it was a great laugh back there. Justin Turner undoubtedly will make this team better. But you're running into roster space issues. Like, if this is a 27-man roster, 100%, Justin, you can hang around. But right now, we have some things we want to see. And the way the roster plays, technically, I mean, it's a relatively there's not enough without Turner around, without Trey Turner around. There's a lack of athleticism on the infield. And the team is going to need that help. That's where it's at. And when you're bringing back somebody who's going to be 38, playing next season at 38, that's concerning.
That's very concerning. I mean, 6 for 47 his last 2 postseasons combined. And if Andrew Friedman wants to go out there and try to defend the organization and say, hey, we want to find a way to become the hottest team in October, well, you don't bring back guys that have been colder than the polar bear's toenail in the postseason. You want to have some fresh blood out there and have guys that you think you can rake. So, yeah, I do kind of get the feeling that they'll find a way to bring him back. But I definitely think if it was my team, if it was my choice, I think I would go in a different direction. I really would.
Getting into more, I mean, it is tough.
I love JT.
It's a hard decision.
I want to shake things up. Man.
It's like sitting around trying to decide whether or not you should break up with your significant other. It's like, you don't want to do that because you have to learn about new people and do a whole thing. It's a whole problem, but sometimes you need to consider it.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Love you, baby. This is not about you.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Say, you good, Clint?
Cody, I just really want to talk to you about this.
Okay.
Let's
off the camera.
Therapy
Cody
session.
Lou.
DN.
How's Hertz doing?
Blue Heaven After Dark. Hey, we're up 7-0. Let's
7-0,
go.
yes.
Go
Fly,
Birds.
Eagles, fly.
I love what are they? The Commanders. Their logo is just a W.
Watching a football team, yeah.
Man, really could get behind that. I'm going to root for a W. Stands for whack. Some of the comments, CK Chin, don't the Dodgers need to reset the luxury tax? Getting in on that conversation this upcoming season. Meaning team payroll will max be at $233. Do you know what next year's CBT is?
Yeah.
Is it $233?
Yeah, $233, yeah.
Okay. Hell yeah, we won.
Fly, Dodgers, fly.
Hamilton, my boy Hamilton, says the analytics are all seeing. Long live the analytics. He's being a troll.
Yeah.
Because that's my friend. Alex saying Hanser was a happy boy. Hanser and Gallo on social media was gold. Yeah, but gold don't win you no titles.
Yeah. No, I would love to see.
I want a piece of metal.
Yeah, exactly. We want our piece of metal. And look, Hanser Alberto, I would love to see him on Dancing with the Stars or in the broadcast booth or doing something other than playing for the Dodgers. It's nothing personal. I think that Joey Gallo might be happy that they didn't pick it up because then he doesn't have to get annoyed on TikTok. But yeah, the bottom line, he didn't hit lefties well enough. He wasn't hitting for contact like they had hoped. Defensively, took a step back.
The job that was asked, or when they signed him, he did not. Just plainly did not perform.
Yeah, Joe.
If you like it, put a piece of metal on it or put a ring on it, not a TikTok on it. There it is.
There we go.
Totally nailed it.
Love it.
Is that good? Thank you, Noah. This guy gets it. It's called "Be Nice to the Boss."
Yeah.
Jose asking who's playing third base next year. Muncy? Sadly, at this point, unless they make some sort of move.
Yeah,
there's nobody else.
There's really no one out there. There's no guys that are going to pick him on the free agency market. Even if you sign some of these shortstops that might move over to third base at some point, it won't happen next season. And I also think, too, Max Muncy really was the everyday third baseman down the stretch. So I definitely think you'll see him get a lot of work at third base. I think you'll possibly see Miguel Vargas get some opportunities. I mean, Chris Taylor is a guy who you don't really love to think of as a third baseman, but they do have some options next season. I think that they're going to focus on other positions to try to bolster those positions, and they'll try to say, let's just kind of get by with Max Muncy. Although, if you did see, gives me a bad flashback to the Padres series and the double by Kim down the line. I mean, Max Muncy playing in there in that situation.
I mean, the only player in Major League Baseball who's getting that with the positioning they had is Manny Machado.
Yeah, or Mr. Platinum Glover. Nolan
Say
Arenado.
only Machado.
You still think
I
Machado?
still say only Machado. I think. Nolan's very good, as the hardware says.
Yeah,
But it would have been an easier play for Nolan. He would have been. He would have said, "I don't need your positioning. You know who I am."
that's a good point.
I think that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Sarah brings up a good point here. Sarah Morris. We need a better offensive outfield. I mean, autocorrect got her, which happens. Happens to us all. Autocorrect gets us here live on air with our own mouths. There are a lot of questions, and as much of a question mark as we want to make Max Muncy at third base, it's not necessarily a crazy question mark because he was not a massive issue there, especially once he came back to life. The elbow started feeling a little bit better this offseason. It's going to be great. Hopefully he can have a nice full normal offseason, because you got to figure he wasn't able to really do any of his normal workout or routine last offseason, coming off of what was revealed to be a torn UCL. By the way, this guy, if you guys haven't seen some of the clips up on our YouTube, our boys Doug and Cody went out to Dodger Stadium last week, got some one-on-one time with Max, and just a lot of
Great
cool
dude.
stuff going on with the Dodgers Foundation, as it does every offseason when it's a normal offseason, when there's not a lockout and when there's not COVID completely destroying the world. So this is your chance to pitch it. People, go watch Doug's stuff. Tell them what's exciting about it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's funny how when you actually talk to a player, how your takes change about that guy. With Max Muncy, I'll defend him for the rest of my life. I mean, Max Muncy is that
Why do you think
guy.
I'm a stripling guy?
Yeah, exactly, right? Hey, give Max Muncy the bag. 10 years, $350 million. How's that
life,
sound,
for
Muncy?
life.
Yeah. But no, it was great what they did out there in the foundation. I mean, they do such a great job in giving back to the community.
Yep.
It was such a special moment hearing the veterans talk to Max Muncy and Austin Barnes in that Q&A session. Really did give me goosebumps. I mean, I'm not the biggest emotional guy, but even I was chopping onions out there, just hearing
this
some
true?
of the
Is this
stories.
true, Cody? Can you confirm?
Doug was waterfalls. I mean,
Yeah.
shout out to
Because
TLC.
I mean, there were some, Cody. I mean, there were some great moments talking about how important that 2020 World Series was for some of their older relatives and how much that meant to them. And it was just a great day to give back. I mean, honestly, it's just an awesome event. I mean, you have the opportunity to hit the cages and hit a baseball on that field, that magical field that is Dodger Stadium, and I think it's a great event. I mean, I really do. I mean, I almost would take some of that grass, put it in a locket, wear it as a necklace or something like that.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
To pocket a little bit of dirt.
Put a little dirt in there,
yeah.
man. So it was great. And I think that everyone had an awesome time. It's such a perfect way to celebrate Veterans Day. So we definitely had a good time.
Yeah, the fine folks at the Dodgers Foundation, they do great work, and thankfully they do get the love for the work they do. I mean, they won, was it last year? They won the ESPN Humanitarian Award. Still, not enough can be said about the work they do. They don't need to do this veterans event. This is just out of kind of the kindness of their hearts and giving back to the community and all that. And that's what they do best. And there's a couple more events coming up this off season. You got the Christmas event, you got a Thanksgiving event, and it's gonna be cool. And these guys will be out there collecting more hot content.
And go watch the video. I mean, Austin Barnes, he talked about how he held onto that ball from the final out of the 2020 World Series.
That's the thing. That was the big reveal, because he at one point talked about still having that ball. I don't know if it was last year or if it was in 22 or 21, but he said he had that ball for a while, and I like what he told you guys. They kept calling.
They get hit him up. I
The
can't
Dodgers
imagine
kept
that.
calling.
Like Lon Rosen, Stan Casson, you probably went up the board right there. Like, hey,
When
Barnesy, if you want that extension, you got to get that ball back.
When Lon shows up to your door, you hide.
Yeah.
That's about it. But
Yeah.
check it out, youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. While you're on it, hit the bell. Hit the subscribe first, because that's how the bell pops up.
Ding.
Comment,
Ding,
all that.
ding.
Ding.
We
This
got
week-
we got a lot of people saying Vargas at 3B. Gabriel says Devers. We talked about Devers at third base as a possibility. It feels like to me that the Red Sox are going to do everything they can to lock him up. By the way, he looks like Manny Fresh from the Big Timers to me. Google it. But Friedman equals Palenka. No, Gary.
No,
Gary,
absolutely
I agree. I
bad.
see eye to eye with
Bad.
Gary on a lot of things, but no. How dare you disrespect Friedman? I mean, come on now. Let's be honest with you. Rob Palenka is the worst GM. He's cratering the Lakers.
He's
And
really bad.
yeah.
Like I enjoy the Lakers, but I just can't get into them because how poorly that organization is run.
Shout out Lakers 248.
Yeah, make sure you guys subscribe. Lakers 24-8. Remember, it's 24-8.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, we don't want to be
That's like
those
saying that Dave Roberts
company.
is equals Steve Nash, right? Or something like that. I mean, come on now. Don't do that to my boy Friedman.
We're falling off the horse here. Is that a thing? We're straying.
We're falling
far,
off the wild horse.
Straying far from the path here.
Yeah.
I had something I was going to say and then I forgot. So we'll move on. Get to a couple more of the comments here. Carnivorous lunar activity. D-Max biceps look huge. Swole
Hey,
Patrol.
man. Fernando Tatis, let me borrow his juice. I'm roiding,
Yeah,
baby.
He had
I got
ringworm.
no, I got a shake weight. I'll be honest. I got a shake weight, and then I've been using it a lot. It's good times. No, but we got
Gary A came in saying, I'm assuming he meant Friedman equals McCain. So apparently you are Andrew Friedman with a teardrop. So I don't know.
If I was Andrew Friedman, we'd have Luis Castillo. I would have traded the top 30 prospects.
That's really, is that like your was that your great white buffalo?
He was my big white whale. He was the guy that I was after, but he's been replaced by Corbin Burns.
Oh.
Yeah, he's my big white buffalo. Yeah.
Yeah. Corbin
gosh.
Burns, the guy who you initially spoke about on this network
did.
for weeks now. Weeks you've been talking about Corbin Burns and Willie Adames to Los Angeles.
You know I love me an ace trade, Clint. That's like my thing.
Yeah. It's like you came up with a great idea.
Hey, man. Sharing
So
is
I want to
caring.
make
Sharing
sure
is caring.
I want to make sure that proper credit, because we're big on giving credit to people whenever we talk about things. So we credit where ideas come from.
Big
And that
bad
one,
fan sites with big social medias.
Clay wants all the smoke. I love it.
they're stupid.
He does.
I love it.
Can't.
He wants all his chips with the dip.
That's what's up, right? That's what's in.
Oh, hey, it's a great thing about having a platform, baby. You get to say shit. So what's going on this week with your Los Angeles Dodgers? They have, I guess it's not qualifying offer decisions. The qualifying offerees, question mark, are going to make their decisions. Trey Turner, of course, is going to say no. I would say it's 95% likely. Tyler Anderson says no because there is interest, and like we already said, multi-year contracts will be on the table. The other big thing this week, it is the non-tender deadline. That is on Friday. Before we dive into Cody, do you think there's anybody else on the bubble of not getting tendered a contract?
No, I mean, when you look at it, there's really not. I mean, I think
there's a need. I mean, we could see some trades because there is going to
yeah.
be a need for roster space somewhere down the line, right? As of right now, I think they're at 35 on the active roster or on the 40-man roster, so there is a little bit of wiggle room. But when you look at some of the names that need to be on the rule, that need to be protected in the Rule 5 draft, and this guy's going to have a video coming out on that sometime this week potentially or something like that, they're going to need more space. So you have to look at some of the, I wouldn't say fringe guys, but you know, where does Edwin Rios stack up on this team? Even Victor Gonzalez, do they still have enough faith in him to get something done? Guys that we kind of know maybe might not have have enough, I don't know, in the back pocket, might not have enough juice to keep themselves on a roster spot. So I think there will be some attempts at kind of low-level trades.
I think, yeah, and you've been talking about that for weeks now, hinting at that, possibly a Caleb Ferguson, even maybe a Justin Brule.
I think Ferguson just wants out.
Yeah, I think he wants a fresh start in a place that is really going to prioritize him more when it comes to opportunities. But even some of those guys you might not expect, maybe the Andre Jacksons or the Michael Groves, guys like that. Because
not Grove, he's solid, but yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I just think that if they, depending on what they're considering, and those spots fill up very quickly. And when you talk about the Rule 5 draft and some of those locks, I mean, you still got Cartaya, Bush, Pages, and Ramos. You got to throw on there to protect them. I think those are the absolute locks, and it'll be very interesting. And I think too, it'll be mutual. I think that we've seen this organization let guys communicate that they want a new opportunity. And I think Ferguson is a candidate for that. Victor Gonzalez, I think, is interesting because we saw the success that he had in 2020, but hasn't been able to get healthy, hasn't been able to be effective. But when you consider this bullpen that we're going to talk about in a minute, maybe he's a guy they can get him right. He can be a real weapon. I'm a little concerned about the lefties, especially if they trade away a Ferguson.
Yeah.
Is Victor Gonzalez going to step up? So, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what they do in the next 24 hours because it's coming very, very rapidly here. The fact that you got to really see what you're going to do with this Rule 5 draft and non-tender guys. I mean, really Dodger fans, there's going to be a lot of action in this next 24 hours. We're still waiting on the announcements of Clayton Kershaw signing. So definitely keep keep it locked here to DodgersNation.com and our YouTube channel because we're going to be covering every single thing this offseason. But
Painfully.
yeah. But we're going to get
Cody
to Cody
Bellinger.
Bellinger.
Let's talk
Skinny
Cody.
belly.
Listen, Cody's going to be the biggest question mark of the week for the Dodgers. I mean, thankfully, of the little hit list, of the checklist the team needed to address, by all accounts, by reports, Kershaw is off that list. There is the Justin Turner. I think he's a little bit lower on that list. Cody Bellinger, I've been talking about this since April, May. If the plan is to get under that luxury tax threshold, then it doesn't make sense to have somebody who's not a lock to put together a great year. He's been struggling now for 3 straight seasons, and his first 3 seasons, or 2 of his first 3 seasons were incredible. Some of the best seasons in baseball at that time, But he's not there. And if the team is looking to clear payroll, that's a free pass. Like I've said before, it's a get out of jail free card. You can just literally let him walk and not have to worry about another $17 million on your roster. You have guys like Andy Pajes who you want to give a try, or you want to see what he's worth or what he can do. You mentioned earlier, we were talking before the show, the potential of like Chris Taylor getting some time in center field. It's not going to happen, but Trace Thompson will still be around. You got James Outman. You have some options to replace Cody Bellinger at a cheaper clip, who could potentially put up. I mean, they're not going to put up anywhere near the defensive numbers. That's a thing that fans will have to deal with. But offensively, they're there and they're cheap.
Yeah.
And that could be what the team is looking for. And I think that's what they've kind of been alluding to all offseason, the needing to give these guys a chance, as Stan Kasten said. Of course, Andrew Friedman also said, we think there is still something left, or paraphrasing, we think there is something left with Cody Bellinger. Scott Boras, it's his agent, but he's he paints a good argument, an interesting argument, a fair argument about he was hurt, and then there was the COVID season that kind of threw him off. I guess the other way around, but he was hurt, and then he got more hurt after being hurt and come back from being hurt. He hasn't really had a chance to be fully healthy. Last offseason with the extended lockout, this is Cody's first full regular season with potential access to hitting coaches and the team's dietitians and all the stuff that comes with being a Major League Baseball player employed by a team. He gets all that stuff, so maybe he puts in good work, hangs out at Camelback Ranch here and there in the offseason, works with Van Scoyoc, Aaron Bates, Brant Brown, figures it out. And that's a tough question because the $17 million on a flyer, where usually that's not an issue for these Dodgers. But now it seems like it kind of is.
Yeah, and I think you're right on the money with everything you just said when it comes to that rotating cast of characters in center field. It definitely leaves a lot to be desired. I think that the jury's still out on Trace Thompson. Can he replicate that success another year where you have a whole season where you have reverse splits? And then Chris Taylor, he's not your everyday center fielder. He's also been banged up at times. James Outman is a guy that, yes, he did flash. Yes, what he did, becoming the 8th Dodger to homer in his first at bat. That definitely got the wheels in motion for a lot of James Outman talk, and the fact that you can get a replacement for Belly at $600,000 in that range. But the reality is, strikes out a lot, and he's just not a proven commodity. And with Cody Bellinger, defensively, you can't deny his defense. His defense is still top 5 at his position. But if you look at his numbers last season, a 1.2 B WAR, hit 265, hit 19 bombs. His 83 weighted runs created plus was ranked 12th out of 14 center fielders that were qualified. So offensively, he's still a below average bat.
Yeah.
But when you consider the fact that you do have the restrictions on the shift next season, he could have a little bit of an uptick in batting average. I think a lot of people have been parroting that take and saying, oh, next year he's going to be Ted Williams Williams and he's going to be Barry Bonds because of the restriction on the shift. Look, it's going to be a pretty minimal uptick, but I think mentally it's going to represent sort of a fresh start for Belly, and I think is going to go up there with a lot of confidence. And also, it's now or never. Like I always say, don't underestimate contract years. Do not underestimate platform seasons. Look what Dansby Swanson did that last season. He was a below average bat his entire year, but he turned it up, had a 116 WRC plus, and now he's put himself in a position to get a nice payday. And I think if you're Cody Bellinger, that's the mentality that you have to have, is say, hey, my defense speaks for itself, but if I could just get to league average, give you, last year he hit 19 bombs, Fangraph Steamers, they project him to be a 99 WRC plus player. That's right around league average. They project him to have 20 home runs. So I think if you're the Dodgers and you say to yourself, hey, this is a guy that he's going to try to make the necessary adjustments because he realizes that if he tanks again, it's going to be difficult for him to get that big contract. And I think that for him, a win in the free agency market is a deal. Over anything over $100 million for Cody Bellinger, I think Scott Boras would probably see as a win. But who knows? Maybe if he does find a way to hit 30 bombs and hit 265, maybe teams out there will love the fact that he is an established name. And I was going to ask you about that. I mean, Scott Boras said talent is very hard to find, and he didn't want to blame his lack of success on injuries. What's your take on that? Of course, it is Scott Boras. He's going to try to speak glowingly about his client, but what's your take on that?
He's a great salesman, you know?
Yeah,
he can sell you a brand new 1980 Ford Pinto, you know? Like, he has no problem saying a bunch of words and talking out of his ass, but the facts are, there are numbers that say this guy is not doing his job as well as he used to, and arbitration would give him more money, which just ain't gonna happen. It's a lottery ticket. It's a potentially $18 million lottery ticket, whatever the contract ends up looking like. And any other year, I think the Dodgers have zero problem doing that. I mean, they essentially did last year, or this past season they did that. But this is the off season where, again, if we're talking about drastic change, not just sticking with status quo, this feels like the offseason where it happens. And if he goes elsewhere and goes off, props to him. You know, maybe that wasn't going to happen in LA, but it happens in San Francisco. It happens in Texas, wherever the hell he ends up. Boras is going to get him a contract for sure. You got something, Cody?
Trace Gallo season 2022 said, or he has a super chat, $4.99.
Yo, let's go.
A very important spring training for the guys like Outman, Trace, CT3, Vargas, Miller, Stone, and other fringe guys.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this next spring training is going to be massive, and if these guys aren't blocked by other dudes, I mean, they're going to either way. They're going to get opportunities in spring training, but tough questions for.
I mean, they are tough
team.
questions. I mean, at this point, I would lean towards them non-tendering him, and I think that's it. I think Cody Bellinger either comes back on that $18.1 million deal that he's set to make, he's projected to make.
Actually,
versus,
and hold on, to cut you off there for a second, guys. Let us know in the comments how you feel about Cody. Should he be coming back? We want to get some thoughts from the audience on this, because Johnny Cage says, "I say bring back Cody Bellinger, but not for $18 million." Which I think at one point too, I kind of had the same like JT idea I had, which if you can get him on like a 2-year and like 10 a year with some significant escalators, yeah, you do that. But anyways, go ahead and get back into your thought there.
We got some good ones here. We got Ben.
I ruined it. Sorry, everybody.
No, that was fire, my man. We got Beneco's talent must be hard to find because nobody has seen Bellies for years. That's what George said. Finish him. Belly sucks. Great analysis there from Hunger over there. We got Carl Belly needs to slow down his swing and focus on making contact. Yeah, that definitely is something that I think is in his best interest. But I think also for Cody Bellinger, I mean, look, you're looking for 30 good swings a year, right? That's what you need to hit 30 home runs. And I think that is the selling point for Cody Bellinger. These guys get paid to slug. They get paid to rake. So, yeah, hitting for contact is nice. But someone like Cody Bellinger, that's just not what he's going to be, right? Yeah. Gary A., he's saying, hi, Clint Birds. Clint Birds, 14-7 LFG. The real question is, how's Jalen Hurts doing, my fantasy guy? But getting back to... Okay, there we go. But yeah, getting back to Cody Bellinger, I think the big question to me is, if he doesn't get that deal, would he be willing to sign a lesser contract to come back with the Dodgers on a prove-it deal? Or, like you said earlier when we were talking, a multi-year deal? Because we know that the Dodgers, like Cody Bellinger, as far as rooting for him. You heard Andrew Friedman talking about him, and Andrew Friedman said that they still believe that the talent is there. It's just up to them to find a way to get that talent out, to find a way for him to be the all-star Cody Bellinger that he has been in the past. But on the same token, like you said, if you are trying to shake things up, you are trying to give other guys opportunities, maybe, look, I'm not saying they're going to sign Aaron Judge or Brandon Nimmo. I would kind of rule out those as realistic possibilities. But I also think, too, it's like, if they're going to have a drop-off defensively from the shortstop position next season, let's say Gavin Lux shifts over, and a drop-off in center field, you got to consider the defense.
That is tough to have to weather both of them, I guess we'll say. Yeah.
I like when people on Twitter, they're like, bring back our dummy. He's our dummy. You know, and like that really is the thing with Bellinger. He's the devil that we know in a way. You know, it's like
that is a way of thinking about it, and that feels like not a lot of. I mean, there's a sect of the Twitter fan base, particularly, that they don't care what they do on the field. They just want them back because that's what they know. But then they're mad when they don't make it out of the NLDS.
Yeah, but no, for sure, right? Exactly. So yeah, exactly. They're so afraid of change sometimes, and you don't want change for the sake of change. But I think that the more removed we are of what happened in 2022 from the regular season and the postseason, you start to have a clear picture of how you think guys are going to fare next season. And it does feel like to me that Cody Bellinger, when it comes to being further removed from that surgery, he did make progress, even though he had one of the worst seasons ever for a qualified player in 2021. And then 2022, you did see some strides. And I think the thing for Cody Bellinger was he didn't start against a righty. Yes, it was Musgrove, and yes, is a guy that he hadn't had success with. But if you're Cody Bellinger and you sign a lesser contract, I would fear, if I was Scott Boras and his representatives, that he's going to get a fair shake, that he's going to get the plate appearances necessary to go out and sell his client to teams out there. So I think if they're committed to Cody Bellinger and they're going to give that opportunity to come back and prove himself, then I think yes. But I think if it's going to be on a lesser deal and a lesser role, I would say to myself, you're not going to be a platoon guy. I mean, there's teams out there that will give Cody Bellinger a shot, and they will give him the opportunity. So I definitely think if he doesn't come back on that 18.1, I see him as a big change of scenery guy. I think he'll go elsewhere. Yeah. What do you think? Do you believe these Cubs rumors? I mean, try to put you on the spot, but like,
I feel I see San Francisco more.
Ooh,
just because of the forehand. And there's a lot of space at Oracle Park for him to fill up. There's also a lot of grass for baseballs to fall.
Yeah,
that he happens.
And we
to
know
hit.
he likes grass. No,
bruh. do. Ooh. I mean, I know the Cubs want to get in the mix. I think their main focus sounds like, by all accounts, it sounds like it's going to be shortstop. They're going to be in on every shortstop. I know they really, really are high on Trey Turner, as are the Phillies. I mean, it makes sense. You know, anybody makes sense. The Cubs just released, mercifully, they just released Jason Hayward today.
And he is Jason Hayward, right? If you squint, you see Jason Hayward with Cody Bellinger. When you talk about a defensive outfielder that's offensive has such a decline, but yeah, maybe that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It's their type. Everyone has a type, right?
But then again, if you get rid of somebody who, you know, was making that much money to bring in somebody that's, you know, I don't know what another team is going to pay Cody. Like, is that going to be an $8 million to $10 million deal? And if it's that, why not just come back to LA and give it a whirl?
Yeah, and that's kind of
but not at 18. Yeah. Not at 18. I don't think the Dodgers can do that.
Yeah, I think they realize too there'll be some backlash.
Not my money, but
yeah. No, I mean, like I said, it's not the years. It's definitely, I mean, it's not the money, it's the years, and they don't have to commit long term. And maybe they do just want to give him one more opportunity. But he just, look, I mean, it's tough to defend. I've been a big staunch Belly Ever, but it's tough to defend the guy when you're going to make the adjustments now, or are you going to wait till May to roll out a different stance and set up a different approach?
That's a good point. I mean, we know how the hitting coaches have kind of spoken about him, and they love the kid, but it seems very much like he does not want to make those changes. This is what I do. This is how I hit when I hit Goodley in 19 and 17. It's not working anymore. You know, Diamondbacks, by the way, Arizona, another
Diamondbacks homecoming.
He hits.
How about Miami? Remember he was supposed to be part of that Real Muto trade with the Marlins? I don't think that's rocking with us.
I think the big thing is, though, like you were kind of talking about earlier, it's in Boris's best interest to, if he's not a Dodger, if Cody Bellinger is not a Dodger, he's got to go somewhere where he gets an opportunity to just show out with the bat. Arizona's a notorious hitter's ballpark. Texas, proving to be a good hitter's ballpark. Cody Bellinger, Cincinnati Red. Anybody? Great hitter's ballpark. But, of course, he's an Arizona kid. Got another baby on the way. Stay home to Chase Carter
Still waiting on
and
that dad
Chase Field.
strength.
Yeah, we've been waiting on that dad strength for a couple years now. Getting into the comments here, and we'll probably leave most of this show on the cutting room floor and do another version or give something, come up with something later this week,
It's gonna be live.
This was supposed to be 10 minutes of show, and we just started going off because we have a good time doing this. This is a fun time talking to you guys.
A lot of people are with your take on the D-backs. Is Cody going to the D-backs from DJ Mad Vibes 1? Diane Schroeder saying, "Hi guys, what did I miss?" Hey, just start the beginning.
Yeah.
Actually, watch the rest of this and then start the beginning.
Let's do it over again.
Yeah, let's start. Okay.
Coming at you live.
Run it back, baby.
Getting into all the conversation about that, I don't know if we got this one because I'm a bit far behind. As I usually am, Alex says I need a bigger sample size before judging Outman, which is fair. Titino says, sad to say, but we can't just rely in Belly's defense. He needs to fix his swing. Carl says, replace the hitting coaches. Jenny Vega's in the stream. Jenny says, don't bother bringing back Belly. I think that's going to be a Jason, hell no. Well, it says he'll no, but hell no, Bellinger is too much stress. Jamie, Belly can't hit fastballs anywhere in the zone. He can't hit anything in the zone, really. I miss the good old days where he just would swing over the curveball but would punish fastballs. But
exactly. Get on top of those bad boys.
Long time gone. Alex says can't hit an inside breaking ball.
Yeah. Honestly, he almost feels like he's like the Kenley Jansen of the Dodgers offensive players. A guy that we always talk about the ups and downs. Everyone has a strong opinion on Cody Bellinger like they did with Kenley Jansen. And I do think when you talk about our crowd, you guys, the astute baseball fans that tune into our show, it seems like the majority of you don't want to see Cody Bellinger back because you look at the numbers, you understand that, yes, he does give you that premium defense, but you need the complete meal, right? I mean,
absolutely.
He just gives you the sides. You don't get the steak. You know, he needs to bring the whole meal. And I think you look on Twitter, you look at other social media, they're like, oh, they're a little more nostalgic about the idea of Cody Bellinger back. So, yeah, I think you got to trust the organization on this one if they do feel like they're not going to be able to bolster their lineup. And defensively, I think there is going to be an emphasis on defense next season with the restriction on the shift. And I do think it's a possibility. My prediction right now is that ultimately he does get non-tendered, though. I do think that's what's going to happen.
Breaking.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say? What's your prediction?
I mean, I've thought non-tendered almost all season long. But as we get here to Judgment Day, I think they're going to bring him back.
At 18.1? I mean, I agree with you. I think that's what they're going to do. I'm just trying to manifest.
I don't like it. I don't know if it's the right call, but that's my prediction on it. By the way, I got to shouting out the smart crowd that we have, because we do have a good crowd. We have a great audience. Smart people listen to baseball on the internet with live streams where there's interaction, not archaic old crap like AM radio. Like, who listens to AM radio?
Wants all the chips with the dip.
You go, like
empty the clip, bro.
Cody. Oh wait, Cody. Never mind. We're not going to talk to Cody about AM radio.
No.
Yeah,
it's the best diss track.
There we go.
Doc. Great one here from George, by the way. Cody be gone.
Cody be gone.
Because it's Cody Bellinger. They don't have to explain that to our smart crowds. DJ Mad Vibes 1. Great name. No negative. Nah on the Cody Bellinger front. There we go. Sonny, Boris guy, no deal is happening. That's another thing. You also have to worry about like the relationship with Scott Boris. Is like, hey, you're not tender, my guy. All right, you're never getting one of my free agents again. You're not getting any of my.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be like that because money is money. You know,
the Dodgers are always going to be able to get their guys that they really, really want, but they have to really, really want you like a Mookie Betts to give you that big bag. So yeah, I'm not too concerned about that. I mean, it'll be interesting, to see what they do with Julio Urias very soon here at some points. It's coming quicker than we realize. But we got Cody is gone, in my opinion. It sucks to see him struggle, but Cody is gone. D-Mac, that's from Strider. Hear you 120. So, yeah, I mean, let Belly go. We got Boris is the Dodgers public enemy number 1. That's from Titino over on Facebook. Yeah, Scott Boris, he's like the Thanos of MLB sports agents. So he's inevitable. But, yeah, I mean, it'll be very, I think too, when it comes to Cody Bellinger, I think at the end of the day, he's going to really want to assess his future. And if he does have a good year, he has to think beyond, even if he has a good year with the Dodgers. So I think that's another thing to consider too. And if I'm him, like I'm going to a pressure-free situation where you can accumulate your numbers, accumulate your stats, and try to set yourself up for the biggest payday that you can.
It's the smartest play. It's absolutely the smartest play for the guy. I think, Cody, producer Cody, this is specifically for you. Johnny Cage says, also bring back Kevin Pillar, bro, on a 1-year deal.
I saw that earlier.
You got any
I just
reactions?
want to say, Johnny, hey, man, hold on. Let me pull something up real quick. I just want to say, hey, like Trace Gallo season, it's not there yet, but Danny Duffy and Kevin Pillar, hey, Pillar and Duffy season 2023. Shout out to Johnny Cage. This is a smart take right there.
Are you saying Johnny Cage wins? Thank you, guys.
I think Pillar's going to be on the Twins next year.
Pillar's not going to be
The
in LA. That's
LG
for damn
Twins
sure.
of the KBO.
It's definitely not going to be in LA. That's for sure. Guys, again, we have a lot of show left on the cutting room floor, so we are going to do that probably on Wednesday this week. We got some really good content coming out. We got some guests lined up, some other things. We stopped doing guests because people just don't care that much about guests, it feels like. But it's time to get back into the
They're going to care about the guests that we bring on.
because Doug's here, and Doug is an amazing individual. He's paying me to say this, I promise. There's a gun in my hip.
That's where all those super chats go.
But guys, tune in later this week. We'll have some thoughts on the Blake Trinan injury, because we have all that left on the floor and what it means for the bullpen, plus everything free agency, because we got to dive into a whole lot of that. But we got to give him this nugget. Our boy, Cody Bellinger, LA, yes or no?
I'm all in. I'm all in on Cody Bellinger. So mileage on that arm, has dealt with some injury issues, but he's got that plus fastball.
like a perfect Dodger
He's
then.
got they call it his splitter. They call it the ghost fork because it disappears. So we know the Japanese heritage of pitchers. Yeah, I would love to see Cody Bellinger. It's going to be competitive. You got the Cubs, you got the Mariners, you got a lot of teams vying for his services. I think the Red Sox are going to be a big player. Do you want to see him in LA though?
Give me Senga-san.
Let's do it.
That is what
I
this
need
team needs, because, like you said, the rich history. Japanese pitchers have almost never failed in LA, and I think that means that, and that even extends to Anaheim, because look at Showtime over there. Shout out HalosToday.com. All the latest and greatest. That's just for you in the corner. But guys, stay tuned. As we said, I already hit the subscribe button. Stay tuned. We're going to do more later this week. We're going to be around. We also have some construction going on in the office. So the next time you see us, it will be a different looking set, and it's going to look real pretty. But guys, find us on the internet, DodgersNation.com. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitch Radio, Pandora, everywhere your podcasts are available for free. YouTube.com/DodgersNationTV. Hit the bell, leave a like, tell your grandma, tell your nurse, because why not? I am Real FRG on Twitter and Instagram. That guy's DMAC_LA on Twitter and Instagram. We are Dodgers Nation on Twitters and the Instagrams. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for hanging out with us. We'll see you later this week, and we'll also see you next Monday. Bye.